The Nationals need a little bit of true serum because after this weekend watching Mitchell Parker and Jake Irvin, I have way more questions than I do have answers.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, we are the Locked On Nationals podcast, where it is your team every single day, as again, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And later on in today's program, we'll have a discussion of the Yankees and the Nats series, but more specifically, let's get into Brad Lord, who really has been the Nationals' best starting pitcher for the last month plus. I feel pretty good about this series, so we'll discuss that later on in the show today. But in the second segment, I've got a big discussion about Jarlin Susana, who might just be Major League ready at this point, but also Eli Willits, the number one overall pick, had a big weekend for the Washington Nationals. But we start off discussing Jake Irvin in the Washington Nationals. And guys, I'm really worried about Jake Irvin and the long term of his future and what it holds. I'll tell you more, but today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament and ends on August 31st, 2025. So as we were getting into today's program, I've got more questions about Jake Irvin. I have got way more questions than I do have answers, and same goes for Mitchell Parker. We need to have an honest conversation, though, about Jake Irvin, because the first half of 2024, we were talking about him potentially being an all-star kind of pitcher. What has transpired since then, though? Well, a lot of bad performances and a lot of early outings. Yesterday's game, he couldn't even make it out of the third inning. Like, what are we doing at this point in time? And the numbers surrounding Jake Irvin at this point, now with an 8-9 record on the season and a 5.4 ERA in the season, at some point in time, something is going to have to give. And something is going to have to change. And Jake Irvin has not been at the positive side of these things. Going 2 1/3 innings pitched yesterday, what are we doing? 69 pitches in yesterday's game, 39 strikes. It's not really a walking issue with him. Like, in fact, if you look at Jake Irvin's numbers, his walk rate is not that bad. It's right around 50th percentile, according to Baseball Savant. But what has gone wrong with him? That is what I keep trying to get to. And you know what? Like, I look at his fastball velocity being down a couple miles per hour. I do think that has something to do with it. But it's not just the velocity drop. And even with that, what are the other questions that come from it? Is Jake Irvin not 100% healthy? I believe that he is. He hasn't had any injury issues all season long. I would like to think that he is 100% perfectly fine and healthy. But the other option of this is maybe he is just not what we thought he was. And that might be a little bit brutal, but hear me out. Jake Irvin does have some solid stuff. And if you remember his first season here in DC, we talked about it a lot of different times. I was thrilled with the way that Jake Irvin was once pitching as a Washington National. But since the middle of last summer, he has not been the same guy that we saw in his first year and a half with the Bigs. I just have to sit here and wonder about the future of Jake Irvin. Is this someone who is going to be a back end of the rotation guy for a good postseason team at this point? I'm not convinced. And I think I was convinced, again, entering this season. I thought Jake Irvin was going to take a big step up for this team. That simply has not happened. And I reference Baseball Savant a lot because I think it just kind of gives you a perspective on where guys kind of sit amongst starting pitchers or major league hitter, whatever it could be. And in Jake Irvin's case here, if you look at his baseball savant profile here, his expected ERA is in the 6th percentile. And forget all the underwhelming numbers here. All of his stuff are in the blue category, meaning the lower percentiles, meaning that he has been statistically one of the worst analytical pitchers all season long. And honestly, I think that's fair. If you look at where Jake Irvin was, again, around midsummer point last year, we were talking about him being an all-star. We were talking about him potentially even being a number 2 to a number 3 on not just a bad Nationals team, but a solid potential winning postseason ball club here in DC. But now I sit here wondering about his future and wondering if Jake Irvin will be a part of that rotation moving forward. Because he's not getting any younger, obviously. He's 28 years old. He was a 4th-round draft pick out of Oklahoma in 2018. He has seen some solid production. But now, a year and a half being removed from having a really good 2024 first half, we are talking about someone who can't make it out of the 3rd inning against the Philadelphia Phillies. We are talking about someone who has struggled immensely over the course of this summer so far. And looking deeper into the numbers, I can tell you this much, it's not encouraging. I have way more questions surrounding Jake Irvin than I do have answers at this point. And the numbers that we have been referencing here, catch this out. Over his last 15 starts, he has a 6.84 ERA, only 75 innings pitched. In those 75 innings pitched, he has given up 94 hits. That is a lot of hits to give up over 15 starts and over 75 innings pitched. And even then, more recently, it's been even worse. Over his last 7 games, having a 8.35 ERA and giving up 48 hits in 32 1/3 innings pitched, and also walking 14 batters. The one guy that we thought had control no longer has that command that we all thought he did. He is giving up hard hits. The high exit velos coming off of the offensive guy's bats, they're real. The fall off for Jake Irvin, to me, is a big deal. Because, again, I don't want you guys to forget what we were discussing when it came to Jake Irvin. We were discussing someone who could potentially be a very, very good starting pitcher for this staff. But right now, he's hurting this team. And that's just unfortunate because, let's be honest, there's no one else to go to in the farm system. You're not going to put Jake Irvin in the bullpen. His stuff is not that good. If it's going to work out, it's going to work out as a starter. So the only hope that we have is something changes this offseason. Whether it's a mechanical issue, whether maybe the Nationals find a little tweak with his arm angle, who knows at this point. But something needs to change with Jake Irvin. And that has been a big issue for me this season. Another guy who pitched this weekend, who again, we've talked about this at a pretty decent rate, but Mitchell Parker. Mitchell Parker, at one point in time, again, going back to last season, we were talking about him being one of the Nationals' hottest hitters, or hottest pitchers. And coming into it, we don't really have the highest expectations for him. I don't think it was the same as Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin's put a lot of pennies in that bank account at this point, but Mitchell Parker has not. And now, after his start on Saturday, in which he got hit around pretty well, he actually looked good for the first 3 frames against the Phillies. Then he gave up 5 runs and then a 6th later on in that game. But Mitchell Parker, I think we're all on the same page here. I actually like his stuff, but if you look at his splits, he doesn't really do particularly well against left-handed batting and certainly does not do well against right-handed batting. In fact, both those splits are not pretty. That's what I'll tell you about them right now. But I do think Mitchell Parker at times does have some really good stuff. And I do believe that Mitchell Parker can kind of make that translation into the bullpen look way easier than what it would for Jake Irvin. We're all on the same page for Parker. He's not going to be in the starting rotation maybe next season, but certainly not when the Nationals are going to be competing in a few years from now. but he does have good stuff that does kind of appeal to me. He does have strikeout stuff. He can have that ability to be hot and maybe be an opener for a team, maybe be an opener for the Nationals, and then maybe you have Orlando Rebalta or Shin Ogasawara come in. You have many different opportunities when it comes to Mitchell Parker, but there really isn't an 8-minute rant needed on that. I think we all understand, and we've talked about it on this show. If you missed it, go back 2 weeks ago. You can listen to my deep breakdown of Mitchell Parker and his issues. But what we saw this weekend were two guys that this time last year, we were talking about being serious contenders to be in a good, solid rotation for this team. And even just going back a few months ago, going from spring training into opening day, we were talking about Jake Irvin being the number 2. We were talking about Mitchell Parker being a solid number 3 potentially. And now we're talking about these two guys not having the brightest future with this Nationals team. And ultimately, there needs to be a change. And in my opinion, Jake Irvin has been one of the bigger disappointments for the Washington Nationals in 2025. And it's tough to say because I love the guy. But man, it has been tough at times for Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker and company. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your prospects, your podcast. Geez, let's talk about those MLB prospects now, though, because Jarlin Susana did the dang thing again, and Eli Willits looked really good in his first weekend as a Fredericksburg National. We'll talk about that after this. And yes, you guys know what time it is. It is time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers a clubhouse flavor that you love without ever leaving the green. And maybe you're playing 18 holes, but want to stretch it to 36. Use 5-Hour Energy Transfusion drink to, number one, have that refreshing taste, lime flavor on the golf course, but also gives you the energy to play an extra 18 holes or get you through the current round. But also, I just have to reiterate this, the taste is so good. I love a good lime drink on the golf course, and there's nothing better than our friends at 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, and the grape ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. And again, ends October 31st, 2025. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So let's get into some Nationals prospects talk, because I like to start off my week with something good. And this is something good. Eli Willits, the Washington Nationals' first overall pick, the baseball's first overall pick in the 2025 draft, a top 20 consensus prospect in baseball. The 17-year-old kid is good, really good. What he did this weekend for the FredNats, I thought was wildly impressive. I always have to say this now because he's only going to be playing for the next few weeks. This kid is 17 years old. He literally should be in a classroom right now, learning geometry, raising his hand to go to the bathroom, asking for permission to get a hall pass to use the restroom. He should be a senior in high school, yet he is playing minor league baseball and doing it well. Eli Willits, over this weekend, the dream scenario happened for us. The reason why you take Eli Willits, number 1 overall, is because he has all the tools in the shed. He has got a little bit of pop. He can run. He plays elite defense. He's got range. He's got a good arm. He's got a fantastic hit tool. And ultimately has a great baseball IQ. You saw him flash the leather, also making a diving catch, popping up, throwing it over to first base. And in his first game, by the way, he did all of that. He also had a 3-hit night and a walk in his very first game, and only struck out one time this weekend, over 14 at-bats. For your first weekend in professional baseball as a 17-year-old with all the expectations in the world, this is why you take him number 1 overall. I want to say this real quick. The makeup of Eli Willits is something that you simply do not see every day. Eli Willits, in my opinion, is going to be a very, very fast riser in this system. And that might be a very reactionary take, but I'm willing to go there at this point. I do believe that you will see Eli Willits by the time he is 19, maybe 20 years old, making his first stint with the Washington Nationals. I think he's going to have a meteoric rise in as far as MLB rankings go. He has got the skills to be a star of a player. And going back into the draft, like I was sitting there, I remember when the Nationals fired Mike Rizzo and David Martinez, hand up, I was like, you got to swing big here, and that big swing has got to be Ethan Holiday. But the Nationals had other plans, and they went with the lesser value with Eli Willits. But honestly, I think you can make the case for Eli Willits to be that top prospect of this year's draft. He has got, again, the makeup to be a star defensive shortstop, a great hitter, hitting above 300 in the bigs, solid power, good speed, a legit 2020 threat of 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. The dream for the Nationals has happened. And honestly, what he did this first weekend was ultra impressive. And I continue to see all the tools on the table there for him. And I continue to understand why the Nationals took him number 1 overall. So with his first weekend, super impressed with what the 17-year-old kid did. Continue to watch what he does in Fredericksburg because they've got the day off today. Only a few more weeks left of the season. But Eli Willits has been an incredible story to watch. And I continue to root on for him because this kid is going to be really good for the Nationals moving forward. And of course, he should be. He's the number 1 overall pick. But still, a lot of people were kind of down on him. They wanted Ethan Holiday. But I think the Nationals got the right high school prospect. Eli Willits is going to be a star for this team moving forward. I got to see this talent. I've talked to some people. He's going to be great moving forward. So let's keep an eye on Eli Willits, but also keep an eye on Jarlin Susana. What are we doing at this point? Get him to AAA. What he did in yesterday's start, again, at the AA level, he has improved his season ERA to a 3.15. He went 5 innings pitched again and struck out double-digit batters again. Back-to-back starts of 5 innings pitched, 2 hits given up. He walked 3 batters yesterday, but also struck out 10. And the start before that, struck out 13 batters and went 5 innings and only gave up 2 hits. The 21-year-old is AAA ready. And in fact, I think if you were to put him on this major league team today, he's probably your second best starting pitcher behind Mackenzie Gore. Maybe your third behind Cade Cavalli. That's how good Jarlin Susana is. And by the way, one thing that I do want people to keep an eye on, because I saw this clip going viral, and we talked about this, again, I believe on Thursday's show when discussing Jarlin Susana. But Jarlin Susana, we've talked about his curveball, or his slider. We've talked about the 102-mile-per-hour fastball. But let's start talking about the changeup. His changeup has really started to take shape for the Nationals, and whatever tweak they have done with that pitch, because that was kind of like his pitch that was a little iffy, and, it wasn't really that elite. And considering this guy has an elite fastball and elite breaking ball, you would like to think or like to have a third pitch you can really kind of throw in there. And that complimentary pitch is his changeup now. This changeup has developed into be a very good pitch, not just for Jarlin Susana, but when talking about these deep dive minor league prospects, it has become another elite pitch for him. The Nationals have really worked with him with whatever it is, but his changeup so far this season has been incredible. And right now, we're starting to reap the benefits of it because over his 13 starts, he's used his changeup at a really high rate, in which the Nationals weren't really aware that he probably could do. But we're starting to see that changeup really take shape. And now having a 3.13 ERA over 13 starts across multiple different levels, he is balling out for this team. And I look at Jarlin Susana as someone who is going to be a very good pitching prospect for the Nationals. And you'll probably see him up in the bigs sometime next summer. And man, is that going to be exciting to see a 6'7" flamethrower of a right-handed pitcher. And as far as starting pitcher debuts go, that might be the most anticipated debut as far as starting pitchers go since Steven Strasburg. Maybe Lucas Giolito. But Jarlin Susana is going to be a star. And this weekend, working on that changeup, as we have seen it really kind of dip down and kind of jam some right-handed hitters, that is going to be a stellar pitch for him to watch. So now he's got 3 good pitches. He's got his elite slider. And now let's put that changeup in the almost elite category. And the Nationals, you can certainly put Jarlin Susana in the elite prospect category. What a weekend for Nationals prospects. 2 of their top 3 guys with Eli Willits and Jarlin Susana continue to do what they do best, and that is just play some good baseball. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. And by the way, we have an important request for all Locked On Nationals listeners. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. And everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. So next, let's get into a Nats Yankees preview, but more importantly, a Brad Lord day. Brad Lord, he brings the wins for the Nationals. Let's talk about that after this. August 26th is officially FanDuel's Futures Day and a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. And August 26th is tomorrow, Tuesday, August 26th. Just for 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Last night in my fantasy draft, I took Jaden Daniels early on in the second round because that is my MVP. I placed my money with our friends at FanDuel, giving me some good, bold kind of feelings entering the season. And also, I'm a Homer Simpson here because I've got the Commanders winning the Super Bowl as well. And when you do that on FanDuel Futures Day, you're going to get a nice little boost that all NFL fans will want to hear. So if you do that, you visit the FanDuel app and start planning your future bets now because football season is right around the corner and Futures Day is one day and one day only. So again, visit FanDuel.com because FanDuel, you can play your game. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So the Nationals take on the New York Yankees tonight, but more importantly, the New York Yankees take on Brad Lord. And guys, Brad Lord has been the most impressive Washington Nationals pitcher, probably behind Mackenzie Gore, but I'm even willing to go a step further and say that he has been more impressive than Mackenzie Gore since Brad Lord has taken over the starting rotation. Over his last 6 starts and 7 appearances, Brad Lord has put up 33 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 31 hits given up, 8 walks to 21 Ks, and a 1.16 whip. Brad Lord is the definition of efficient. Brad Lord is super efficient, and he is not getting guys out in like the most unique way. When we talk about starting pitchers today and what makes them elite, we talk about Tariq Skubal in the strikeouts. We talk about Mackenzie Gore in the strikeouts, Garrett Crochet, all the different guys out there who strike out a ton of batters per 9 innings. Brad Lord does not do that. In fact, Brad Lord does not strike out really anyone. He has 77 Ks over 96 in a third innings pitched this season. But what this guy does that is so elite is generate soft contact, number one. But number two, gets ground balls. His profile in entering this season kind of felt like a reliever. Getting ground balls, kind of the old school way, just like mom and dad did it. Getting the ground balls, the routine double plays that hopefully you turn to, that you come into a jam. And that's kind of the profile that he has. But he has taken that profile and is using it over 5, 6, 7 innings pitch as a starter. It makes no sense. But let me tell you this, it doesn't have to make sense. Brad Lord is just a good starting pitcher. And now seeing him go up against the New York Yankees tonight in a very hitter-friendly ballpark, this is going to be a very exciting game. Because let's make it very clear. The New York Yankees are a good, powerful offense. They are able to hit home runs. You've got Aaron Judge in the lineup. You have got plenty and plenty and plenty of talent on that team. But Brad Lord is going to look good because he does not give up those hard hit balls. And if it happens tonight, then guess what? It's New York Yankees. That's the better team. You tip your cap to them. But I've got a feeling that Brad Lord is really going to get to hitters like Aaron Judge. He is going to be able to take advantage of a lot of guys who kind of don't really see the Brad Lord type all too often. 95, 96 mile per hour fastball, but he's also going to get you to chase on a lot of different pitches. That is what he does. He uses this reliever profile and has used it in a starting form, and he has made beautiful music for the Washington Nationals so far. So seeing Brad Lord against the Yankees tonight, that is going to be must-watch TV, as he has been one of, if not the most impressive Washington National in 2025. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that start on tomorrow's program. But until then, enjoy some baseball tonight. I will catch you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.